Either. Our last guest is doing a speech about Web 3.0, the Metaverse. It's kind of the same topics. I think it's a rich topic right now. Please welcome our friend Marvin Tong from Fala Network to the stage.
Hello. Hi everyone. This is Marvin Tung from Fala Network. I'm the co-founder of Fala and also the CEO of Hush Forest, which is the company driven behind Fala. And thank you for being here. I know it's not easy, right? So so today my topic is majorly like the path to a Web3 metaverse. And so Metaverse, everybody is talking about NFT and Metaverse, but what exactly Metaverse is, I think I want to clarify some misunderstanding here. Based on my conversations with my friends, I think most of people think Metaverse is a combination platform with VR technology and the MMO player game. MMO means massive number multiplayers, online players, and open world map like the GTA, right? They have a big map. So, but I always clarify to them that I don't think so. So in my understanding, I think actually Metaverse in the very infrastructure, in the very fundamental layer, it is actually data ownership and assets ownership. And because of the data ownership, it means that every minute, every second you spend in a digital world, it can be remarked. And all of the data you provided, you produce it, only belongs to yourself. It's controlled by yourself. Assets ownership means all of the valuable content, assets, creations in the metaverse also be controlled by yourself. And based on these two very major but simple principles, there are a lot of current metaverse protocols and platforms are building an open platform on top of layer 0. And on top of that is what we are familiar with, the VR technology, the experience of multiplayers, and the open world. So I bring 4 principles for people to verify if a metaverse is a true metaverse or a false metaverse. The 4 principles is very simple. The first one is who built the content. Okay, GTA have very similar experience with the open world. You can experience anybody's life and you can rob anybody in there and you can spend 24 hours per day in there. But is it metaverse? It isn't. Because I think all of the content, all of the games in GTA or AAA level games are majorly provided by the game studios, Rockstar, right, game studio. But in Metaverse, the major content should be provided and created by the people. So this is principle 1, who built the content. Principle 2 is who control the service. So for example, Roblox, Minecraft are them Metaverse? I don't think so, because although all of the content in Minecraft and Roblox are also created by players, but the services, the game rules, the platform rules are controlled by the company behind it, not by the community, not by the DAO, by the people, right? So the third principle is here, can the service be shutting down? This is a very important part. I think sadly, for the current so-called metaverses, most of the metaverse can be shutting down. And if we are spending our time in a metaverse that can be shutting down, what's the meaning, right? Well, what's the meaning we spent so much time in contributing in there? So I think the true metaverse can never be shutting down. Yeah, the last principle is very interesting. It's 100% open source. It's not like game industry is not like crypto industry. People don't, the game developers don't familiar or don't prefer to open source everything there. The very reason is the competitions. But without open source everything, you can't verify the game rules. You can't verify if the rules is exactly what they described in the wiki document. So, but unfortunately, I think in the current games or metaverses, most of them are not open source yet. Is this full principle solid? That's the question, right? So let's use the full principle to verify DeFi and centralized financial world, okay? So it's pretty simple. In DeFi, who control the funds, who control the content? It's you, right? You put your money in your address, and the address keys, private keys is controlled by yourself, and every approval, every authorization to interact with smart contracts approved by your key. So you yourself control your money, principle one. Principle two, who control the services, is for DeFi is DAO, right? That's why Uniswap airdrop the governor's token, and every decision in the DeFi protocol should be voting by public. And who can the services be shutting down for DeFi protocol? No, right? The smart contract will constantly running on Ethereum on other blockchains. It can never be shutting down. And is the code driving behind DeFi protocols open source? Yes. So it's very simple. The same four principles can not only verify the true metaverse, the false metaverse, and the DeFi or centralized exchanges. And why the four principles matter, right? Why metaverse have to be Web3? I think the major reason is very similar with the reason why we love DeFi. It's because in DeFi, you're putting your investment in funds, in your money, into your address. But in Metaverse, actually, you are investing in your time in the digital space. So that's why it have to be Web3. I don't want to spend 18 hours per day in a digital world that's controlled by Rockstar Game Studio. And I don't want to watch porns in Metaverse, which the Metaverse is controlled by Mark Zuckerberg. So I want something that I want to spend my time and my life in some place I can control. So that's the very reason driving behind why we need a Web3 metaverse. And how to build a Web3 metaverse. We did some research. This is the infrastructure architecture for Decentralized. As you can see, it's a really complicated architecture, right? There are different modules, and our team realized, okay, but a little bit frustrated that there are only smaller part of Web3. First, the Ethereum provider, then the content server. It means that the decentralized can read data through a Web3 service called the Graph, and signature and mint tokens via Ethereum provider. That's it. So that's the Web3 retail in the current most decentralized metaverse. And why is that? I don't blame in Decentralized because based on our research, we think this metaverse is the most Web3 metaverse in the current market. And I have a theory of why this happened is the more UX complexity your application got, the lower Web3 ratio you got. It means that, for example, if you just want to transfer a token from address A to address B, is pretty simple. You can just make an RPC code via MetaMask, or you can just use an Ethereum client to do it without any UX. So the Web3 ratio is quite high, 90%. But if you're using a DeFi protocol, it's not only the smart contract you are using, you're also using the UX. You're also using the website provided by Uniswap team. So in this case, there are some APIs and there are some indexers. The front-end deployment are not that decentralized. So maybe the Web3 ratio is 80% or 70%. Then we come into games. So for the current GameFi or any crypto games, I think the Web3 ratio is just around 30%. I will explain later why. And for Metaverse, I think it's just a 5% Web3 ratio. So why is that? The very important thing is there's a lot of stuff between front end and smart contract. It's not just a front end make calls on smart contract that easy. There are like API management, there are subscriptions, there are attestations and game engines, event management, indexers. All of these, we call it traditional back-end development before, can't be replacement by smart contract now. So this is why we are still relying a lot on centralized services or cloud to host our gamified metaverses. So how to solve that problem? So I think things will get better in the next 2 or 2 years. Our team been building on a decentralized Web3 computation protocol for a long time, at least I think 3 years. So what we are trying to do is to provide a very similar environment as the traditional back-end development, but in the meanwhile, all of the back-end programs are hosting in a decentralized cloud so that we can get rid of the centralized services if you want to build games, if you want to build Metaverse. Look, here I'm not saying that we are asking or expecting the developers can use fat contract on Fala network to replace the smart contract on Ethereum. We are not doing that. If you can write program as your backend as smart contract, just do it. Don't use our service. But if you realize you are putting a lot of services on AWS or GCP at the moment, that's where you can have a test on Fala network. So fat contract is something beyond smart contract or different from smart contract. We are providing a low latency, huge computation, privacy enhanced and internet accessible services so that you can put your back-end program on our network. And yeah, just a talk, right? Beyond just a theory, we have some progress. First case is we already successfully deployment and running decentralized game servers on our network. Our network, we got over 10K servers running on the network at the moment, and none of the servers is purchased or provided by our team. It's all provided by, we call it Fala miners. It's a P2P network. So it's very simple. The miners provide servers, and we send the task through the protocol on-chain to the servers, and the servers execution the task. That's the story. So for now, we test our first use case, decentralized game servers, and it's worked. The second thing is rendering. So we think Metaverse also need a lot of cloud rendering, and we already supported Blender in our network in testnet, and we successfully rendered some NFT cases, which the quality is good because it's CPU rendering. And we supported Blender majorly because it's the only open source 3D render standard at the moment. And beyond that, we also built some system that very interesting. It's called Soulbound NFT system. So Soulbound is an NFT series provided by Vitalik in this January, and he learned this from World of Warcraft. So in Warcraft, if you take hard work and kill some monsters, kill some bosses, the very rarely equipment you pick up, you can't just trade it in the market. So this kind of rarely equipment, which is untransferable, present your reputation in Warcraft. So he think untransferable NFT can be used as as a way to rank your reputation, your personal scores in the community. And we already built it by a Remark protocol and some other system in a Polkadot ecosystem. And we can make attestation from the personal data off-chain and on-chain and rank it as personal scores contributions in the ecosystem. So that's basically about Fala. Questions? Any questions? Okay, thank you.